center. Okay, so the distance between the nozzle and the this nozzle and the this point. Okay, so this is a maximum point. Okay, so depth of the crown, this is a point. Okay, so for calculation of this dotted line, we have considered this DA distance. Okay, because this is a maximum distance. Okay, that spray may touch here or maybe touch here at C point or B point. Okay, so whenever this much penetration distance will be there, it will be there will be a wall impingement. Okay, but for more clarity, we have calculated the distance between the nozzle and the depth of the crown. That is a DA. That is a maximum distance. Okay, and if we compare with this penetration distance, so there we found that there will be a wall impingement with B25, B50, and the B100. Okay, with the B20, it is a critical point. Okay, very small distance is there is small gap between the available distance and the penetration of B20. So it is a critical point. So that's why we identified this B50, B15 will be the optimum biodiesel percentage to be used in diesel engine based on the spray characteristics. Even other spray characteristics also you compare, B15 has a better result if you compare with the other biodiesel percentage. Okay. So in the closed view, you can see here, there is a wall impingement with B100, then B25, and this is B50. Okay, and this is the B20. Okay, this one. This is the B20. So B20, it is coming within the uncertainty. Okay, so that's why we are saying that it is a critical to be used this as a alternative to diesel. Okay, so B15, that is you can use. There will not be a wall impingement. Okay. So for wall impingement, we have developed our own model. Okay, so this figure already I have explained you. So this W is the distance between the nozzle and the wall of the piston. Okay, or wall of the crown. Okay, and this S is the spray penetration. Okay, so this W, if this W is greater than this spray penetration, then there will not be a wall impingement. And if this W is less than spray penetration, then there will be a wall impingement. So here this much wall impingement will be there. Okay, and I already told you. So what will happen if there will be a wall impingement? There will be rebouncing of the droplets. There will be sliding of the drop. Okay, and while sliding, the droplet will vanish. Okay, and third is the droplet may stick on the hot surface, and once it is stick, that it will create the turbulence, or that smooth rough surface will create the turbulence, and this is basically a solid carbon. Okay, it is a it contribute to particulate matters. Okay, so what we did, we developed this differential equation. D of W minus S by d theta is equal to dW by d theta minus ds by d theta. Okay, so if this dW minus dW minus S by d theta is less than 0, then there will be, yes. Yeah. Please mute your mic. Okay, so if this is less than 0, then there will be a wall impingement. Okay, if it is greater than the 0, then there will not be a wall impingement. And if it is equal to 0, then it is a critical condition. There may be or may not be. Okay, but this is sure that if it is less than 0, this parameter, then there will be a wall impingement, because available length is less than the spray penetration. If available length is less than the spray penetration, then there will be a wall impingement. This is the condition. Okay, and if available length is more than the spray penetration, then there will not be a wall impingement. Okay. Yeah, if we incorporate the swirl, okay, so we have incorporated the swirl 2.2, 3, 4, and 7, and then we have predicted this penetration. So with the swirl, penetration is decreasing. Okay, so this green color shows the without swirl, then this shows the 2.2, so decreasing. Okay, so this red color is for 3 swirl, and this blue is for 4, and this is for 7. Okay, so if you are incorporating the swirl in your engine, then there will be a decrease in penetration, so that we can avoid the wall impingement problem. So this wall impingement problem could be solved by incorporating the swirl. Okay, swirl is the axial motion of the air. Okay, so yeah, so this is our prediction. Okay, so what will happen if we measure the injection characteristics for the biodiesel in case of what we can say in case of CRDI system. Okay, in CRDI system, you everybody knows that there will be a high injection pressure. Okay, now whatever penetration we have calculated, so this is for around 600 bar injection pressure. Okay, but if you compare it with the CRDI, so their injection pressure will be around 1800, maybe around 3000 bar. Okay, so if the pressure is 1800 bar, so obviously there will be a higher penetration, and which results in a wall impingement. But what happens if you are increasing the injection pressure in case of CRDI system? There you are decreasing the nozzle diameter and increasing the number of holes, and that's why there will not be a wall impingement. Okay, this red color line shows the bowl depth from the nozzle tip. Okay, and this line shows the penetration. Okay, so this bottom line. Hello. Yeah, please mute your mic. Okay, so this bottom line shows the penetration for 0.05 mm nozzle hole diameter. Okay, so this is a spray penetration. Okay, now in this nozzle hole diameter, if you are increasing the injection pressure, you won't get a spray penetration. So that is the happening in the CRDI system. Otherwise, you may think that if in CRDI system there will be high injection pressure, so spray penetration will be more and there will be a wall impingement. No, there we are increasing the number of holes and decreasing the nozzle hole size. Okay, so if you are increasing the number of holes, automatically the quantity of fuel per hole is decreased. Okay, quantity of fuel per hole is decreased, so momentum of fuel is less. Okay, and momentum of air will be more in that case. Okay, and momentum of fuel will be less, that means spray penetration will be less, and that's why there will not be a wall impingement problem in case of CRDI system, although there will be a high injection pressure. Okay, so this is just percentage change. Okay, so in case of if you compare biodiesel spray characteristics, injection characteristics, injection delay, dynamic injection timing, peak inline pressure, or injection duration with respect to base diesel. Okay, so B5 or B10, B15, all these biodiesel percentage, only injection delay is decreasing. Okay, only injection delay is decreasing, other parameters are increasing. Okay, dynamic injection timing get advanced, peak inline pressure increases, injection duration increases, only injection delay decrease. Okay, and in case of spray characteristics, all parameters you can see here, spray cone angle and vaporization rate is decreasing. Okay, so and breakup length, shorter mean diameter, penetration and air entrainment is increased with all the biodiesel percentage in comparison with the diesel. Okay, so this is just a percentage change I am showing you. Okay, so now another like injection and spray characteristics with retarded injection timing. Okay, so what will happen if we retard the injection timing? Okay, so initial injection timing was 6 degree before TDC, then we retarded by 0.9 and 2 degree crank angle. Okay, so if you are retarding the injection timing, means what is happening? You are moving towards the top dead center. Okay, you are delaying your injection system. If you are delaying your injection timing, means your startup combustion also gets delayed, and startup combustion gets delayed means piston is moving towards the bottom dead center, and in that environment, if combustion takes place, what will happen? It will be a low temperature combustion, and in that low temperature combustion, if nitrogen reacts with the oxygen, it will not form NOx emission. So this retarded injection timing is one of the technology to be used to reduce the NOx emission. Okay, so what will happen with this injection and spray characteristics if we retard the injection timing by 0.9 degree crank angle and 2 degree crank angle? Okay, remaining parameters are same. Here you see with this is inline pressure versus crank angle, and we have retarded the injection timing. Okay, so this red color you see, this is standard injection timing, and now we are retarding. Okay, retarding means we are delaying the injection. Okay, so this green shows the 0.9 degree crank angle retardation, and this is shows the 2 degree crank angle retardation. Okay, so here clearly you can see the retard in injection timing. Okay, 250 is the nozzle opening pressure. So with standard injection timing, this point is a start of injection. Okay, but With 0.9 degree crank angle retard, this will be the start of injection, and with 2 degree crank angle retard, this will be the start of injection. Okay, so start of injection gets delayed. Okay, if start of injection gets delayed, what will happen? You see, so this is a dynamic. This another graph shows the dynamic injection timing at 100% and 50% load. Okay, so this just now I told you. Okay, this is start of injection with the standard injection timing 0.9 degree retard and 2 degree retard. So it is getting delayed. Okay, so this is with standard, this is 0.9, and this is with 2 degree. So, and this point is a TDC. Okay, so it is going after the TDC. Injection starts after the TDC if you are retarding the injection timing. Now just think that if injection starts after the TDC, what will happen? Because you need a combustion at the TDC. Okay, your main target is combustion should take place at the TDC, not after the TDC. Okay, so what will happen? It will not be a perfect combustion. Okay, if injection starts after the top dead center, because after the top dead center means piston is moving from top dead center to bottom dead center. Volume is increasing. If volume is increasing, pressure temperature decreasing. If pressure temperature decreasing, and in that environment, if combustion takes place, so it won't be a perfect combustion. Okay, so there will be a lot of smoke emission, lot of CO emission, SC emission. You won't get a desired power output. Okay, but it's a low temperature combustion, so it will be a technology, one of the technology to reduce the NOx emission, but efficiency will be poor. So this technology you can't go with. Okay, maximum injection pressure, you see, maximum injection pressure also reducing. Okay, see here it is reducing. If maximum injection pressure is reducing, that means penetration decreasing, and penetration decreasing means there will not be a wall impingement problem with the retarded injection timing. Obviously there will not be a wall impingement problem because piston now moving towards the bottom dead center. Okay, so volume is increasing, that gap between the nozzle and the piston wall is increasing. So if it is increasing, so there will be a available length will be more. Available length, if it is more than the spray penetration, then there will not be a wall impingement. Okay, so you can see here this red is with standard timing, this is with 0.9, and this is with 2 degree. So it is decreasing. Okay, although it is showing here increase in penetration, but when after 8 degree after TDC. Okay, 8 degree after TDC means more distance, there will be more distance available between the nozzle and the piston wall. So there will not be a wall impingement, although spray penetration is more. Okay. Yeah. Then injection and spray characteristics with different diameters of the pump plunger. So we have used, this is a 9.5 is the standard. Then we reduce the pump plunger size, that is 9 mm and 8.7 mm. Remaining characteristics are same. Okay, so discharge is depend on the plunger diameter. Okay, if you are decreasing the discharge, sorry, if you are decreasing the plunger diameter, obviously discharge will decrease, but we have to maintain the constant discharge. So how to maintain the constant discharge? You have to inject the fuel for a longer period. Okay, so that similar things are written here on this slide. Okay, yeah. Now see here. Now this is with the standard plunger size, and this is with decrease in plunger size. This is for 9 mm and this is for 8.7 mm. Okay. Now in earlier case we have manually we have retarded the injection system, but if we decrease the plunger size, in that case also there will be a retard in injection timing. Okay, so here you can see now this 250 is the nozzle opening pressure. So this is the point for this is the DIT or start of injection for the standard plunger size, and this is for 9 mm plunger size. Okay, SOI, start of injection or dynamic injection timing, and this is for 8.7 mm plunger SOI. Okay, so how it is retarded, you see here. Now at 6 degree after TDC, if you are injecting the fuel, okay, see compression stroke is over, now power stroke is going on, and during the power stroke 6 degree after TDC, if you are injecting the fuel, then no use. Okay, so you need to optimize even this plunger size. Okay, you need to optimize this plunger size. 9 mm is okay. Okay, so that is around TDC only. Okay, so this technology can be used for reducing the NOx emission, but 8.7 mm, no, you can't use, because 6 degree after TDC, if injection starts, then how long this injection will go and when the combustion will start. Okay, so that power stroke will be over. Okay, then no use of power. Okay, so that will be a loss of power. Okay, so same thing is something are compared here. Okay, maximum injection pressure. So in cylinder injection duration, sorry, in cylinder injection duration. So if you are decreasing the plunger size, so obviously if plungers are already, I told you that QVS, okay, discharge is directly proportional to DP. Okay, so if plunger size decrease, discharge also decrease. Okay, so to maintain this discharge, okay, what you have to do? You have to inject more amount of fuel for a longer duration. Okay, and that's why this injection duration is increase with decrease in plunger size. Okay, penetration. So this is the trend. Okay, penetration, although here penetration is decreasing and here it is slightly increasing, but it is away from the TDC. Okay, if it is away from the TDC, so there will be a maximum length available between the nozzle and the piston wall. So there will not be a wall impingement problem. Modified nozzle configuration. So what we did, we modified the nozzle. So the standard nozzle has the diameter of 0.19 and there were 5 holes. Okay, but in the modified case, we have 0.188 mm diameter and the 6-hole nozzle. Okay. So that actually here, what is written here? Just now I told you that if you are using the 5-hole and if you are using the 6-hole, so what is the difference? Because you have to maintain the discharge, that is QS, same, that is constant. Let's say it is, if it is a 10 ml per cycle. Okay, so and if there are 5 holes, okay, so per hole, how much fuel will come? 2 ml. Okay, per hole. And in 6-hole, how much fuel will come per hole? 10 divided by 6 ml fuel per hole. Okay, so obviously it is less than the 2 ml per hole. Okay, so if the fuel quantity per hole is less, okay, so obviously what will happen? I already told you that fuel momentum will be less. So spray penetration will be less. Spray penetration will be less means air momentum will be more. Air momentum will be more means it will be easily mixed with the fuel. Okay, and there will be a better atomization and vaporization. And you are also decreasing the nozzle size. If you are decreasing the nozzle size, Shotterman diameter will be less. If Shotterman diameter will be less, vaporization period will be less. Okay, so these are the benefits of increasing the number of holes and decreasing the nozzle hole diameter. Okay, and if you are increasing here number of holes means what? There will be more number of spray, and if more number of spray means what you are doing? You are achieving the maximum homogeneity. Okay, like a SI engine. Okay, so this is with 5-hole dynamic injection timing, 0.7 crank angle, and this is for 6-hole. Okay, that is 0.4. Okay, so it is little bit little bit retarded. Okay, little bit retarded, not much retarded. Okay, 0.7 to 0.4. Okay, and this is in cylinder injection duration versus for 5-hole and 6-hole. So injection duration is for this it is around 10.7 and for it is 10.8. Okay, because you have increased the number of holes. Okay, so injection duration is less. If injection duration is less means combustion duration also get reduced, and if combustion duration get reduced means it will improve the efficiency of the engine. Yeah, penetration. See, penetration and Shotterman diameter. Okay, so this dotted line shows the Shotterman diameter and this shows the penetration. Okay, so for 5-hole penetration is maximum, this green color. With 6-hole penetration is decreased. I already told you, if the amount of fuel per hole is less, so there will be less penetration because there will be less injection pressure. Okay, pressure across the nozzle is less. Okay, Shotterman diameter also, because of the less nozzle diameter, SMD will decrease. Okay. Then vaporization, you see here, this is vaporization period for 5-hole and this is for 6. Okay, it was for 3.2 around and this is 1.5, exactly half. Okay, if you increase the number of holes, okay, and decrease the nozzle hole diameter. This for 300 bar similarly. Okay, now here we are increasing the injection pressure. So if we increase the injection pressure, what will happen? So that thing we have compared here. Okay, so if you are increasing the injection pressure, so there will be a advance in injection timing. Okay, advance in injection timing, and penetration is slightly higher. Okay, in with a 3-degree crank angle, advance in injection timing. Okay, but for this NOP, nozzle opening pressure, it will be less. So these are some similar kind of thing. So these technologies we can use for optimizing the spray and injection characteristics, and mainly in spray characteristics we have to optimize the SMD penetration. Okay, these are the main two spray penetration, spray characteristics. If you are optimizing these two things, automatically you are going to optimize remaining spray characteristics. Okay, so for optimizing these, just some solutions I told you, but there are number of ways to reduce this thing. Okay, even we have gone for the some minor changes in the nozzle hole diameter, and only we have increased the one number of holes, one hole. Okay, you can go for even eight holes, and you can decrease again further this nozzle hole diameter. Okay, so that again you will get a better results of spray characteristics, and there will not be a problem of more spray penetration and wall impingement. Okay, so if you are reducing the penetration, okay, so actually you have to reduce the penetration, but simultaneously you have to also increase the air entrainment. Okay, generally what happens, penetration decreases means air entrainment decreases, but we need a more air entrainment in the spray. Okay, because there should be a more oxygen availability in the during the combustion. Okay, and if there will be less air entrainment, then there will be a deficiency of the oxygen, and you won't get a proper combustion. Okay, so you want a proper or optimum penetration. Okay, so that optimum value you have to find out. So at what condition you will get that optimum value, that you have to identify. Okay, so if you are increasing the number of holes, so automatically what that is the one best technology actually. Increase the number of holes, so that what will happen, the fuel quantity per hole will decrease. Okay, fuel quantity per hole, because you are sending the same amount of fuel per cycle. Okay, but only thing is you are distributing the fuel quantity, okay, per hole, and automatically if fuel quantity per hole decrease means penetration will be less. Okay, fuel quantity less means penetration also decrease. But if you see overall, so you are getting the more homogeneity, so mixture will be more homogeneous because number of spray will be more. Okay, in the envelope, so number of spray will be more means homogeneity will be more, and homogeneity, if we for combustion we always prefer the homogeneous mixture. Okay, so these things actually for the injection and spray characteristics, and then we'll start with this combustion. I may go a little bit fast, okay, because some basic things I will skip, because today we have to finish this combustion also. Okay, so is there any doubt till now? Is there any doubt, dear participants? If you are
Not much.
okay. So then we'll start this combustion. Okay, some introductory part I may skip. Okay, and if you have doubt, you can stop me and ask there itself. Otherwise, at the end of this session, we'll have question answer. Okay, so this is a fire triangle for the combustion. Okay, everybody knows that the requirement of combustion is oxygen, fuel, and the heat. Okay, this heat means source of ignition. Okay, this is the source of ignition. Okay, without this source of ignition, you won't get a combustion. Okay, this source of ignition may be a compression. Okay, maybe a spark, maybe a chemical reaction, maybe a electric spark, maybe a etc. Okay, but there should be a source of ignition. Okay, so in CI engine, source of ignition is the compression process. Okay, for SI engine, source of ignition is a spark plug. Okay, so this should be there, then only there will be a combustion between this fuel and the oxygen. Okay, so that's why this is a fire triangle for the combustion, that is oxygen, fuel, and the heat. Okay, so in the atmosphere, everybody knows that there is a 21% of oxygen available, and remaining, that is 79% nitrogen. Okay, but out of this 21%, we only required 16% of oxygen for the complete combustion reaction. Okay, and these are the fuels, gaseous fuel examples, then this liquid fuel examples, solid fuel examples. Okay, so for IC engine, generally we focus on this gasoline and the diesel. Okay, and if you inject the natural gas and hydrogen as a gaseous fuel, and these are the solid fuel, these things we are not using in a IC engine. Okay, and heat source. These are the examples of heat source. That is a flame, then sun, hot surface, spark and arc, friction, chemical reaction, electrical energy, and gas compression. Okay, so this is similar fire triangle. Okay. Now here just compare these two flames. So this one flame you see here how it is propagating, and this flame is not propagating in a proper way. Why? Because there is a oxygen deficiency. Okay, but here there is a rich oxygen in the atmosphere, and that's why this flame is propagating properly, and there will be a obviously there will be a perfect combustion. But here you won't expect the perfect combustion because there is no proper flame propagation because of the oxygen deficiency. So there should be a proper oxygen availability or sufficient oxygen availability for the any combustion reaction. Okay. Yes. So what is a combustion? Combustion is generation of heat through rapid chemical reaction of fuel. Okay, that is the definition of combustion. Generation of heat through rapid chemical reaction of fuel. Okay, and these are the products of combustion: CO2, H2O, NO2, SO2. Okay, so these are the products of combustion, means for complete combustion. Okay, and if there is an incomplete combustion, then there will be a CO, HC, and NOx. Okay, so this is for incomplete combustion. Okay, so always we look for this only. Okay, we look for this only. We don't expect this one. Okay, we don't want this. Okay, because incomplete combustion will produce CO emission, it will produce hydrocarbon emission, it will produce NOx, SOx. Okay, but if we go for complete combustion, it will give only CO2 emission, water vapor. This H2O means water vapor. In the product side, it is water vapor, then NO2 and SO2. Okay. Yeah. So these are the main parameters for the proper combustion. That is called as generally 3T. Okay, time, temperature, and turbulence. So everybody knows that there should be a sufficient temperature to initiate the combustion. Okay, otherwise there will be a in winter season we face the problem of cold starting. Okay, because there is no sufficient temperature in the atmosphere as well as inside the combustion chamber. Okay, so that's why temperature is very important parameter to get or to initiate the combustion. Then turbulence, there should be a proper turbulence for mixing the air and fuel. Okay, so basically particularly in the CI engine, okay, that mixture is not formed in the carburetor. There is no carburetor. Okay, so mixture forms at the time of combustion in the combustion chamber. So if there is a turbulence, so that mixing period will be reduced. Okay, so atomization period will be reduced, and you will get a proper combustion, or you will get a perfect combustion near to the top dead center or in the constant volume combustion. Okay, then time, there should be sufficient time for the combustion. If just now we have seen, if injection gets delayed, okay, if injection gets delayed, what will happen? There will not be sufficient time for the combustion. Okay, because power stroke started and still your injection is going on, then no use of that injection. Okay, so injection should be prior to the start of combustion. Okay, so these are the main 3 T's for the proper combustion: temperature, turbulence, and the time. These are the fundamentals of combustion. Okay, you require thermodynamics, you require chemistry. For stoichiometric, you should know you must know the how much air is required to burn this particular amount of fuel, and obviously this fluid mechanics also plays an important role for this combustion. That flame propagation, laminar, diffusion, and atomization. Okay, so these are just basics. I'll skip this. Yeah, these are also theoretical properties. You must know what is flash point, what is fire point, and what is auto ignition. Okay, so flash point, it is the lowest temperature at which if ignition source comes in contact with the vapor air mixture, the vapor catches the fire. Okay, so ignition source comes in contact with the mixture, then it catches the fire. Okay, and fire point, it is the lowest temperature at which even in the absence of ignition source, the mixture catches the fire. So this is the difference between the. So there should be a ignition source. Here, no need. Okay. So the fire point is obvious. Fire point is generally above the flash point. Generally, the difference between fire point and flash point is 10 degree Celsius. Okay. So fire point is always above the flash point. Now, what is auto ignition temperature? This auto ignition temperature is higher than this both. Okay, fire and flash. It is the lowest temperature at which the volatile material will be vaporized into gas which ignites without the help of any external flame. Okay, so auto ignition temperature plays a vital role in case of CI engine. Combustion burning, yeah, these are again basics. Okay, combustion. Okay, when any substance comes in contact with oxygen, it will generate the heat. And in burning, what happens? Substance comes in contact with oxygen, it will produce the heat as well as light, and that light has a flame and glow. So this is just the basic difference between the combustion and burning. Okay. Yes, it's again basics. Okay, how solid will take more time to get burned. Okay, and it will require higher heat than the liquid and the gaseous. Okay, gaseous fuel will take less heat. Okay, or will require less heat to get burned. Okay, so that is the thing written here. Yeah, and this 21%, already I told you that in the atmosphere there is a 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen. Okay, so this 21% O2 and 79% nitrogen, this is called as technical air. Okay, and in this technical air, each mole of O2 carries the 3.76 mole of nitrogen. Okay, how this 3.76 comes? 79% divided by 21. So this comes 3.76. Okay, so each mole of O2 carries the 3.76 moles of nitrogen in the technical air. Okay, and everybody knows that for the air, for the combustion, you only require the oxygen. Okay, nitrogen never takes part into the combustion reaction. It will go as it is in the product side. But yes, but at a high temperature, it will react with the oxygen and form the NOx emission. Okay, otherwise it never takes part into the combustion reaction. Yeah, if substance react with oxygen, what will happen? And if substance react with the air, okay, so you must be knowing that why we are using air for IC engine. Okay, everybody knows that for oxygen, for combustion you need only oxygen, you don't require air. Okay, you require only oxygen, and air contains the oxygen as well as nitrogen. Okay, and if nitrogen is not taking part into the combustion, then why we are sending the air? Okay, why not only oxygen? Okay, so one thing is that separating the oxygen from the air, it's very costlier process. Okay, another, we are separating the oxygen from the air, but that we are using for the medical purpose. Okay, there that cost will not play a important things. Then third, during compression stroke, okay, if you are sending the only oxygen to the during suction stroke, then you won't get a proper compression. Okay, because during compression stroke you have to inject, you have to increase the pressure and temperature of the air. Okay, or the fluid inside the cylinder. Okay, you have to increase the pressure and temperature of the fluid inside, and fluid means air only. Okay, or maybe oxygen. If you are sending only oxygen, you won't get proper compression. Why? Because it has a low density. Okay, it has a low density, so you won't get a proper compression. So these are the three major reasons why we are not sending only oxygen to the IC engine for combustion. Okay, so that's why we are sending the air. Okay, and if we send the air and if there is a combustion reaction with air, then what will happen? When this carbon reacts with air, it will form CO2. 3.76 nitrogen will go as it is. Okay, so this will not take part into the combustion. It is going as it is in the product side. It will form CO2, 2H2O, SO2, similar. Okay, but this will go as it is in the product side. Okay, this is theoretically, but actually what happens? It will react with the oxygen. Okay, because I already told you that 21% available, but for combustion you require only 16%. Okay, so 5% excess is there. So that will react with the nitrogen at high temperature, and it will form the NOx emission. Yes, when this nitrogen reacts with the oxygen, okay, when this nitrogen reacts with the oxygen around at 1300 degrees Celsius, it will form NOx emission. Okay, and if this nitrogen react with the oxygen at around 900 degrees Celsius, then it will form the N2O emission. And this N2O emission is one of the greenhouse gas emission. I already told you that there are three greenhouse gas emissions major, that is CO2, CH4, and N2O. Okay, this N2O is very, very dangerous than the CO2 and methane. Okay, so N2O is 265 times dangerous, more dangerous than the CO2. Okay, and this methane greenhouse gas emission is 28 times more dangerous than the CO2. Okay, so you have to maintain or you have to optimize the temperature so that you won't get maximum NOx emission or maximum this N2O emission. Okay, so this we are talking about diesel engine. So I have given the spray here. Okay, and spray with respect to temperature. Okay, so we have seen that the spray, NOx always forms at the periphery of the spray. So this is spray. Okay, and this is the periphery of the spray. Okay, and you see here at the periphery, NOx forms. Why? Because at the periphery, there is a lean mixture. Okay, and lean mixture will easily mix with the air. Okay, lean fuel will at the periphery fuel will easily mix with the air and start the combustion, and it will be a high temperature combustion. And here in the core, you see there is a rich mixture. Okay, and there is a less temperature. So this is a rich mixture, and this will form the smoke emission. So this is responsible for the smoke emission. Now, if you reduce the nozzle diameter, this problem also will get solved. Okay, there will not be a much rich mixture in the core of the spray because you are decreasing the quantity of fuel per hole if you are increasing the number of holes. Okay, so this is a really very important diagram. Okay, so you can correlate spray temperature and the emission formation. Yes, this is a basic diagram. You know, perfect combustion, good combustion, incomplete combustion. I will skip this. Then types of combustion, premix combustion flame, diffusion combustion flame. Everybody knows. Okay, premix combustion example is Bunsen burner. That yesterday also I have given this example. That is our stove. Okay, in the bottom tank we are putting the kerosene. We are pumping. We are mixing kerosene and air. That mixture goes to the burner. You will get a flame. Okay, so that flame is called as premix combustion flame, and combustion is called as premix combustion. Okay, and in case of diffusion combustion, what happens? The fuel and air mix at the time of combustion. Fuel and air mix at the time of combustion. Okay, like candle. You see, there is no premixing in the candle. There is no premixing of the air and fuel. At the time of combustion, this moam and atmospheric air is mixing, and you are getting the flame. Okay, so this flame is called as diffusion combustion flame, and this combustion is known as diffusion combustion. Okay, so in SI engine, you will have only premix combustion. Okay, because air and fuel is mixing. Okay, petrol and air is mixing in the carburetor, and that premix fuel we are sending to the combustion chamber during suction stroke. Okay, so that is a premix combustion. But in case of CI engine, there will be a premix as well as diffusion combustion. Okay, so whatever amount of fuel we are injecting during the ignition delay period, so that is a premix combustion. Okay, that will give you the premix combustion. And once combustion started, okay, once combustion starts and still you are injecting some amount of fuel, so that will give you the diffusion combustion. Okay, so in CI engine, there will be a both premix as well as diffusion. Okay, and that's why there will be a four stages of combustion in case of CI engine. But in SI engine, there are only 3 stages, like ignition lag, flame propagation, and afterburning. Okay, combustion reaction. Yes, you need oxygen to get more heat. Then combustion of hydrocarbon. So this is a general combustion reaction, everybody knows. Okay, so how we are equating this carbon from both the side, then how we are equating hydrogen from both the side, then oxygen from both the side, and then we are calculating these constants A. Okay, this A, then this B. Okay, and then this Y. Okay, so from this you can find out the amount of air required to burn a particular amount of fuel. Okay, so this is a minimum air required. Okay, so this is a general combustion reaction. If you know the, if you put here N, okay, let's say for diesel, the formula is C16H34. Okay, so N is equal to 16. Okay, put here 16, you will get a combustion reaction for diesel. Okay, and which tells you the minimum amount of air required to burn this particular amount of diesel. Okay, or you can say stoichiometric amount of air required to burn the particular amount of fuel. Yeah, CH4. So these are the generalized combustion reaction. So this is okay. Yeah, this same thing we did. We just compared the we equated the weightage of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen from both the side. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what we did? This is the methane CH4. Then it will react with the O amount of oxygen. Then A amount of CO2. It will form A amount of CO2. Then B amount of H2O. And this is our generalized combustion equation. Okay. We just put here N is equal to 1. Okay. So you will get this CH4 2O2 is equal to 1 CO2 plus 2 H2O. So this is reactant and this is a product. Okay. So 1 mole of CH4 reacts with 2 mole of oxygen and it will form 1 mole of CO2 and 2 moles of water. So this we are doing on mole basis. So 1 mole of CH4 reacts with 2 mole of O2. It will form 1 mole of CO2 and 2 mole of H2O. So accordingly on mass basis, okay, we can find out the mass of the CH4. C carbon 12, then H4, H is 1 into 4, 4. Okay, then 2 O2 oxygen 16 into 2 32. Okay, and but 2 moles, so 2 into 32. Okay, so like this we can find out the combustion reaction on mass basis. So this will be on mass basis, that 16 kg of CH4 will react with 64 kg of O2 and it will form 44 kg of CO2 plus 36 kg of H2O. So their total mass of reactant is 80 kg, 16 plus 64. And here 44 plus 36, it is 80. So mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. So conservation of mass equation is followed here. Okay, so the combustion equation involves the principle of conservation of mass for each element. Okay, so just for your equation, for your information, yeah, this is the minimum amount of air required for the combustion. That is a stoichiometric reaction. So this is here. This is the combustion reaction for CH4 that just now we have seen. So on this is a mole basis. So for mole, there is a 1 mole of CH4 and 2 mole of air. Okay, so total number of moles 9.52 of air. Okay, so on mole basis, air to fuel ratio for CH4 is 9.52. Okay, and similarly on mass basis, so this is a combustion reaction. Okay, so this is fuel, this is air. Now find out the air to fuel ratio on mass basis. So this is the mass of CH4, that is 16, and mass of air is 274.56. So this is the air fuel ratio on mass basis, that is 17.16. Okay, on mole basis it was 9.52. Yeah, now our interest is in diesel. So C16H34 when reacts with Y amount of air, it will form A amount of CO2, B amount of S2, and Y into 3.76 nitrogen will go as it is in the product side. Okay, this and this. So equate this carbon weightage, this side 16, this side A. So A is equal to 16, first constant you got. Then equate the weightage of hydrogen, this side 34, this side 2B. Okay, so B is 17. Then oxygen, very basic, we early learn is, but for student it is really very good. Then for Y constant you will get 24.5. And if you incorporate all these constants, so this will be a combustion reaction for diesel. Okay. So this is the fuel, then this is the air. Now take the mass of fuel, that is 226. Then mass of air, this is 3363.36. Okay, this is for diesel mass and this is air mass. So if you take the air to fuel ratio, so it comes 14.88 as to 1. Okay. For octane, similar same process followed, and you will get octane air fuel ratio. So that is around 15.1. Okay, so for diesel it was 14.88 and for petrol it is 15.1, and for the CNG it is slightly more, that is 17 point something. Okay, now if you compare the combustion of these three reactions, okay, so these are the combustion of diesel, this is combustion reaction for petrol, and this is for methane. Now you see here the mass of air required for diesel is 3363.36. Okay, so this is the mass of air for diesel. For petrol, mass of air is 1716. Okay, this is. And for methane, mass of air is 274. Okay, this one. So if you compare the mass of air, see, diesel requires the more air to burn the 1 mole of diesel. Okay, as compared to these two fuels. Okay. Similarly, if you compare the nitrogen available in the product side, there is 92.12 unit nitrogen available in the products of diesel combustion. Then in petrol, 47 unit of nitrogen available, and in case of CH4, there is 7.52 unit nitrogen available. Now, if somebody asks you that which fuel will emit more NOx emission, okay, although it is depend on the temperature, but from the combustion reaction also you can tell that diesel will give more NOx emission, as there is a maximum amount of nitrogen available in the product side. Okay, and there is a more possibility of reacting this nitrogen with oxygen and forms the NOx emission, right? So, and in petrol and diesel, this is 47 and 7.52. Okay, similarly you can compare, you can also compare the carbon dioxide formation for diesel, petrol and methane. So it is 16 unit of CO2. Here it is 8 unit of CO2, it is 1 unit of CO2. So from this also we can compare the like which fuel will emit more greenhouse gas emission. Okay, so although the CO2 is the main output of the combustion reaction. Okay, although it is, but it also contributes to the greenhouse gas emission. Okay, so like this you can analyze this combustion reaction of the fuel. Air fuel ratio of hydrogen, because it's a non-carbon fuel. Okay, so it is higher, it will go around 32 point something. Okay, same procedure is followed. Okay, so for hydrogen, the air fuel ratio is 34.32. Okay, so gaseous fuel. Then hethane, everybody knows what is hethane. Hethane is 18% hydrogen and 82% CH4. That is methane. Okay, that is called as hethane. And you can also find out the air to fuel ratio for this hethane. So that comes around 17 point something. So same procedure is followed. We just go through it. That comes around 17.61. Okay, for the hethane, 18% hydrogen and 82% CH4. Okay, I'm not just this everybody knows. So I'm just showing you. Then biodiesel chemical formula is C16H39O3. Okay, so same procedure we can follow and find out the combustion reaction. Okay, and then mass of fuel, then mass of air, and if you take the ratio, then you will come to know the air to fuel ratio for biodiesel, that is 11.93. Okay, so air to fuel ratio for biodiesel is around 12. Okay, and for diesel it is 14.8, and for petrol 15.1, for CNG 17.17. Okay, yes, so this was the basics for combustion. Now we'll move towards the ignition and this combustion characteristics of diesel. Okay, this ignition is important endothermic chemical process in diesel engine. Okay, in diesel engines, fuel is injected into the engine cylinder during the end of the compression stroke. Okay, and the combustion would not occur instantly with the injected fuel. As the diesel engine needs minimum time for mixture preparation process, the liquid fuel is usually injected at high pressure through a small nozzle in the injector. This just now we have seen. Okay, and as it atomizes into small droplets and penetrates into the combustion chamber. Okay, and the atomized fuel absorbs heat from the surrounding compressed air. Okay, then it vaporizes and mixes with the surrounding high temperature and high pressurized air. The time lapse between the start of injection and the start of combustion is known as ignition delay. Okay, start of injection and the start of combustion. Okay, so this DIT is known as start of injection, SOI. Okay, this is start of injection. Okay, it is also called as DIT, dynamic injection timing. Okay, and this is start of combustion. This point is known as start of combustion. So the time lapse between these two is known as ignition delay. Okay, ID. Okay, TID, total ignition delay. And total ignition delay comprises physical ignition delay and chemical ignition delay. Physical ignition delay means atomization period. Okay, physical mixing of the air and the fuel. Okay, and chemical ignition delay means when that droplet absorbs some energy. Okay, absorb some energy before releasing the heat. Okay, so that period is known as the chemical ignition delay. Okay, so that's why during chemical ignition delay, you can see here, this there will be a negative heat release rate. Okay, see this dotted line. We have seen this injection pressure line. Now we'll see concentrate on the dotted line. The dotted line is the heat release rate versus crank angle. Okay, so it is 0 up to this point. Okay, and this is the start of injection point. Okay, and here it is a, okay, after this point it goes negative. Okay, and comes again to the positive. Okay, so this positive point is known as start of combustion. So where the heat release starts, so that point is known as start of combustion. Okay, so the time lapse between the start of endothermic reaction, because this is endothermic reaction, because droplet is absorbing the heat, okay, before releasing the heat. Okay, so start of endothermic reaction, the time lapse between the start of endothermic reaction and the start of combustion, okay, is known as chemical ignition delay. Okay, and during this physical ignition delay period, there will be a physical mixing of air and fuel. Okay, so the time lapse between the start of injection and the start of endothermic reaction is known as physical ignition delay, and this total physical ignition delay plus chemical ignition delay is called as total ignition delay. Okay, this first peak is known as premix, diffusion, and after this it is after burning. Okay, so this is experimental data, so that's why there are a lot of vibrations. Okay, so ignition delay, if we compare the ignition delay with biodiesel, okay, so everybody knows that biodiesel has higher Cetane number. Okay, it has oxygen content. Okay, it has oxygen content. Another thing, its bulk modulus is very, very high, so that's why there will be a advance in dynamic injection timing. Okay, so and these three things gets that these three things reduce the ignition delay of biodiesel. Okay, now you see here x-axis there are fuels: diesel, B5, B10, B15 up to B100. Okay, so this is the ignition delay. Okay, this color shows the ignition delay. So this is for diesel, and how it decreases with the increase in biodiesel percentage because of the higher Cetane number of the biodiesel, higher oxygen content in the biodiesel, and high bulk modulus. Okay, start of combustion. This is start of combustion after TDC. Okay, so start of combustion also you can see it decreases. Okay, then in cylinder pressure versus crank angle. So this is for the biodiesel B100. Okay, and this for somewhere for the diesel. Okay, so in cylinder pressure is higher with the biodiesel pressure. Okay, this in cylinder pressure means P theta diagram. Okay, so this is P and this is theta. Okay, so there is advance in combustion, start of combustion, and higher in cylinder pressure. In cylinder pressure means combustion pressure. Injection pressure was different. Okay, so that we identified from the inline pressure sensor. Now this is the combustion pressure. Okay, this is the combustion pressure. What we did, we inserted the combustion pressure sensor, and it is exposed to the combustion chamber. Okay, inserted into the cylinder head, and it is exposed to the combustion chamber. Okay, so it will sense the combustion pressure. So biodiesel will give you the high combustion pressure. This is similarly that pressure, from the pressure we have also calculated the temperature. So obviously in case of biodiesel there is a higher temperature, and in this high temperature if nitrogen reacts with the oxygen, so it will emit more NOx emission. Okay, so this is a heat release rate diagram. Okay, so a lot of fluctuations were there. Okay, so with higher biodiesel percentage you see here. So this first peak is a P premix, then second is diffusion, and then afterwards we are saying it is a after burning phase. Okay, then durations, we have measured duration: premix combustion phase, diffusion combustion phase, and late burning combustion phase. Okay, so premix combustion phase is slightly higher with the biodiesel. Okay, and that is the main reason it will emit more NOx emission. Okay, diffusion combustion phase also higher. Okay, and late burning phase is little bit reducing with the biodiesel, and that's why it will give the low CO and SC emission. Okay, late burning phase is responsible for more CO and HC emission. Okay, but in case of biodiesel, lead burning phase is reduced. Okay, and that's why there will be a low CO and HC emission. And even from physicochemical properties of the biodiesel, it has zero aromatics. So that is also one of the reason to get the low CO and HC emission. Maximum rate of pressure rise is decreased. Okay, so with the biodiesel, with increase in biodiesel percentage, and that will ensure the smooth running operation of the engine. Okay, so maximum rate of pressure rise. Okay, you see, it is reduced. Okay, so this was the what we can say stationary engine. Okay, constant speed engine. So for stationary engine, 9 bar per crank angle is allowed. Okay, rate of pressure rise 9 bar per crank angle, and for automotive engine, it is, I think, limit is 5 bar per crank angle. Okay, so we have run the engine in a within the permissible limit. Okay, and with the biodiesel percentage, it gets decreased again. Further, it gets decreased with the biodiesel percentage. Okay, and that is again because of the higher oxygen content in the biodiesel and the higher cetane number of the biodiesel. Okay. Yeah, we have also one new correlation. We have identified that relation between the maximum rate of pressure rise and ignition delay. So as ignition delay increases, biodiesel rate of pressure rise also increases. Okay, as ignition delay increases, rate of pressure rise also increases. As ignition delay decreases, rate of pressure rise decreases. So ignition delay decrease with biodiesel because of the higher cetane number. Okay, and that's why rate of pressure rise also less with the biodiesel. Okay, combustion duration, yes, obviously with biodiesel, combustion duration is higher because of the lower calorific value. You have to inject more amount of fuel to get a desired power output. Okay. Yeah, a little bit I'll focus on the physical and chemical ignition delay. Okay. So physical ignition delay is defined as the time elapsing from the start of injection until a combustion mixture has been formed. Okay. So basically physical mixing of the air and fuel. So developed model is based on the breakup time. We have developed a model for the physical and chemical ignition delay, like a wall impingement. Okay, so this is a breakup time. This model is based on the breakup time and the vaporization. And these parameters are depend on the fuel density, air density, injection velocity, injector nozzle diameter, specific heat, latent heat, temperature, predicted Shorterman diameter, and the vaporized SMD. Okay, then chemical ignition delay, it defined as the time elapsed from the instant that suitable mixture has been formed until the appearance of the hot flame. So basically during the chemical ignition delay, the droplet will absorb the energy, and that's why there will be endothermic reaction. Okay, so there will be negative heat release rate. So this negative heat release rate period is known as the chemical ignition delay. Okay, and before that, till the start of injection is known as PID. Okay, and the combination of this PID and CID is the total ignition delay. Okay. So developed model for the CID, chemical ignition delay period is mainly the function of droplet temperature, air temperature, and the cetane number. So for this, we have taken Arrhenius equation as it is. Okay, so this just now I explained you. This is a PID, this is CID. Okay, so this is start of endothermic reaction, end of endothermic reaction, or you can say start of combustion. So this is CID. Okay, negative heat release rate. Okay, so this is endothermic reaction, and here it is a exothermic reaction because you are getting a heat. Okay, and before that, till the start of combustion is known as physical ignition delay, and total is the total ignition delay period. So this is the physical ignition delay model we are developed based on the spray characteristics, that is breakup time, evaporation. Then for chemical we have taken the Arrhenius equation as it is, and these are the constants we have identified for the ignition delay. Okay, and then combination of these two, that is physical ignition delay and chemical ignition delay, is the total ignition delay period. Okay. Yeah, then we have calculated, we have compared the calculated ignition delay, that is predicted ignition delay, and the experimental ignition delay. So we got this trend line around 0.9. So results are perfectly matching. So calculated and experimental. Okay. So these are the results are within the uncertainty limit, but there is very less data available in the literature. So we could not compare our predicted results with the available literature. Okay, so whatever we have measured, that only we could able to compare with our predicted physical and chemical ignition delay values from the developed model. Okay, so this ignition delay. Okay, what will happen if we, that one another prediction has been given that nozzle diameter is 0.1 mm, pressure, if you are taking 1000 bar, and this outer rim diameter 9 micron, and temperature is 2500 degrees Celsius. Okay, and this red color shows the conventional engine. Okay, so this is basically, these properties are for the CRDI. Okay, if we use the CRDI, what will happen with the PID, CID, and total ignition delay? Okay, so obviously physical ignition delay will be decreased with the CRDI system, because there will be a number of holes will be more, nozzle size is less. Nozzle size is less means droplet size will be less. Droplet size will be less means there will be easy mixing of the fuel and air. So physical ignition delay will be reduced. Even chemical ignition delay also reduce, because chemical reaction will be faster. Okay, and obviously this is total ignition delay is the combination of these two, so that also reduce. So there is a big difference between the conventional engine and the CRDI engine, if you take a ignition delay point of view. Okay, so this is a percentage change of the combustion characteristics. So startup combustion, advance, and combustion duration increases with the increase in biodiesel percentage as compared to diesel, and ignition delay and rate of pressure rise decreased with all biodiesel percentage as compared to diesel. So I think that's all from my side. Combustion I have taken little bit fast. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can please ask.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir,
please.
if you don't mind, can I ask one question, sir?
Hello, am I audible?
Sir, yes, sir. My voice, sir. What about my